Well, you're right. And I suppose two things from that. Taste is also a way in which we can work with nature. So, so when we eat basil and we eat a tomato together, they taste incredible together, and so they grow really well together as well. So onions with tomatoes with calendula, or these are marigolds. So you can have these at the entrance of your houses and things, and they're anti-insect repellents essentially, but they're natural. And then it's an oil that they call calendula. Have you heard of? And when you feed calendula as an oil to animals, it's generally the first one that you feed, and they love it. They lap it up.
Is that the thick stuff you put on the skin? Or maybe I'm thinking calendula or something. Maybe it's
calendula.
Not.
I mean, it's an incredible. I mean, they've all got the medicinal purposes.
Right.
What was the second thing I wanted to say? That's it. So if something, so that there is a misunderstanding, I think, of vitamins and things. So vitamin C will pretty much cure everything. It is illegal for you to inject vitamin C straight into your veins because it cures everything. It's illegal in this country and all over Europe, America. I think probably Mexico is the one country I know that it's not illegal, because it will cure cancer, and cancer patients are told that it will actually make their cancer worse. A flip inverted environment again. But if you eat something like a mushroom that isn't good for you, okay, what you can do is you can take 5 milligrams of vitamin C every 6 minutes for 3 hours, and it will cure everything. A snake bite, a spider bite, everything that would supposedly kill you. You know, so there's so much that vitamin C can do, and that's just one very small example of, I suppose, of nature. And the best way to get vitamins is actually to eat. Is to eat the real thing. And you can do the powdered version. It can ruin your teeth, the powdered version. So always wash with salt water if you can afterwards, that it doesn't attack your teeth essentially. These are artichokes. This has gone a bit wild, but yeah, so this is an example of a dug bed.
I've never seen an artichoke plant before.
Haven't you?
Yeah, no.
Yeah?
No, that's great.
They're ginormous, aren't they? And all the plastic that you see, this is, my parents love this plastic, but because we have sandy soil, all the wind blows all the soil onto it, and the seeds from all these wonderful dug beds that have all the weeds in them, and we'll go to that next actually, because it's a really good example. Watch your feet. I'll move that. It's not the So this is the start of a no-dig bed now, and this was a dug bed, yeah, and it's been weeded many times.
Right, yeah.
People come along and they try and help, you know, but we've had all these seeds go everywhere, the whole thing, you know, so you can see all the weeds now growing in between the lettuces and the kale and things. Just the health of the soil really tells you, you know, what it needs, and things just grow really nicely. I mean, yes, we've had the seeds and the weeds kind of, they're starting to grow now here, but your hoe is your best friend. It becomes your best friend. So I'll dig out all of these, and you know, you still see the onions here that they've tried to grow, you know, but they've died, and that's the result. They've got engulfed with all the weeds basically, and some of them have gone to seed. So you can just plonk the cardboard on top, and things that, you know, there are a few things that will grow through, but generally you find that, you know, there isn't that much that will grow through unless the seeds hit it on top.
Yes.
In which case they go, yay! So I was weeding this, and I was weeding along here, and I placed all the weeds in piles, so I was going to come around the next day and pick them up. Anyway, you never know what's going to happen, so I picked these weeds up, and underneath was this pile of fluff with all these baby mice in it. The little mice were the size of my car. I did film it actually, and it was just magical to see, you know, the start of life again. So I covered them back up again. I went and got rid of the weeds and sort of the
We've got more attendees to the lecture.
Hello. Are you coming to dig up my beds, are you? They're quite useful, of chickens, in many respects, actually, because they do turf the ground up a bit.
Yeah.
And I guess one problem with dug beds is that you put so much goodness in and all the worms and things that the moles love it as well. So the moles will dig things up. But they're really good at, so you don't know, she's eating a worm. Or maybe a slug actually. She's eating lots. Do you know, I really appreciate you coming in, but Henny Penny, sweetheart, come on, sweetheart, yeah, thank you, I really appreciate that. No, I wouldn't eat rhubarb, gosh, no, not the leaves, you would die. Come on, come on, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've had these, you see these yellowy, they've come to the end. This is an example of being able to have your own seeds. So it's gone to flower. I've left the covers off to protect them. And the bees come, we've got loads of beehives around. And the flies and, you know, all these different things, the butterflies, they come and propagate it. And then I get all the seeds that grow up. And then you have a seed bank. You can take them up. I think the chickens thought I was quite insane because I went, you know, where they'd cleared all the ground underneath and I was whacking the ground with all these seeds. And so they will eat some of them. And then that's, I suppose, what do you call the small microherbs? Yeah, have you ever grown microherbs before? I suppose a bit like when you soak beans and things and then they sprout.
Oh yeah.
It changes the structure inside it, so it doesn't become something that makes you give wind, flatulence. And it's the same here, you know, so they'll start just little tiny plants. Chickens will eat them and it's their microherbs as well. And this is actually land cress. Cress is incredible for you. And we've got lots of watercress in the stream as well. So last Sunday we had a random visitor of a chap from the 1950s that used to live here, and they actually dug out all this channel here, and because it's quite a sandy soil here, there is the water table, so below becomes all these little streams and I suppose springs that pop up, and so we get a stream throughout there, and you can plant, you know, things that live in water, which yeah, it's just the wonderful thing is that everything is so abundant, you know. The grass does not strain to grow, you know, and we're exactly the same, but the world has created this environment where, you know, the richer become rich and the poorer become poorer. And if you do something that's good for humanity, teaching, you know, helping people with their mental health, they're all low-grade jobs, you know, but the ones that are paid a lot of money are the ones that strip humanity from, you know, what is good to them. So we're going back to nature, we're going back to communities, we're going back to help each other. You know, the most important thing I'd really like to have here in these fields is a bouncy castle. Because life is supposed to be fun, you know. It's going to be magic, because the world is changing at the moment in front of our eyes, but if you don't open them then you can't see it. But yeah, so this is a dug bed that I did for my mother, and so they did actually come and plant these leeks, but that's it. And since their injections they haven't been very well. But yeah, so here, look at the size of this beetroot, and look at that.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Gigantic, isn't
It is ginormous.
Yeah.
It is a.
Yeah.
They like manure.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a tree root.
The yellow ones, yeah, they're more tart in taste. I'm not sure what the different varieties are, but they're one. I just picked a choice of these ones are not as sweet, which I think is why there's lots of them compared to these ones that all the insects have been feasting on them. whereas these aren't as sweet. So I think that's why there's so many of them around, because they're not the preferred.
Yeah,
But there we go.
please try some.
Well, there we
Have
go.
a taste.
I was going to put them out so that you could have one of each and then a few of each and try the different.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing.
But so it's more of a tart.
I don't mind the tartness. I quite like it actually.
Nice.
Nice.
And then the red ones are underneath.
Thank you. We'll get to those in a bit then. the rainbow. But I suppose it's a really good example because, you know, our food should be a rainbow.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 different types of, and you will taste them. We've got 3 different types of beetroot. We've got yellow, which is golden beetroot. We've got I can't remember the name of the other one, but it's got red and white stripes in it. And then we've got the deep red one. And the leaves taste incredible.
Yeah.
From the red ones. If you try, just see. Let's just take a leaf. I do this on an evening for the chickens as well, so the chickens like the leaves of these. And actually the leaves have got more goodness in them than the actual root. So I'll take a little bit of the leaf. I just want a good example, maybe not straight after that yellow. This one's maybe not as salty, but leaves are generally very salty.
Never leave me short of salad.
Exactly.
And if you chop this and I stir fry it, somebody gives me a beetroot, I use the
Oh really? There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Stir fry the stalks. That's for you.
Oh,
then.
thank you.
Is there like a plan to this, or is it, a feeling thing? Or it's like this is going to go there. This needs to go next to this thing. Is it scientific, more in how you do it, or?
I suppose, companion planting, like the taste side of things, is quite important because the plants like each other. So when, for example, I do the beetroots, I do them in clumps together. So you maybe do 5. And same with onions, they like each other to grow with each other instead of this one. You know?
I can't believe what we've done, Rachel, this year. Planted them like that. Thought
Yeah.
we'd done it wrong and got them all up again and planted them individually, haven't we?
Have you really?
We have.
Who told you to do that? so the in fact, look. I think that's is it a garlic or an onion? It's trying to grow. You see, it's been weeded and it's now just trying. Give me a go, will you? But you can.
A little strawberry.
Yeah, that's a little strawberry. Oh yeah, they do get everywhere, bless them. But what you can do is you can plant quite a lot in a small space. So you plant 5 beetroots, 5 onions, and things that on the palate taste good together as well. So you're a really good example of what should go together in that sense. So, and then as they grow, you can take the biggest one out, harvest that one, and the others will swell up and grow around them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do, the polytunnel is maybe, I was a bit worried about that because I had so many tomato plants that I grew from seed. And I tried to space them, and they do, when they're tiny, for example over here, we've got, let's just walk in between this lot. We've got the kale, and I've just planted some of these. They were pot bound actually. These lettuces, they'd been going in these tiny little things for ages. So I finally got them planted out. But as these grow up, I'll just take these lettuces out and feed them to the chickens, have them for salads. So it all gets used somehow. But they look really sparse. If you didn't have the lettuces in, it would look like this tiny little thingy. But when they really grow up, just like these, so I've got 20 broccolis in here. I've taken 1 plant out so far, but they grow up and they spread. So it is nice to give them that space in some respects, and depending on the size of them. So cabbages need a bit more space, broccoli needs a bit more space, cauliflower, they have their beautiful leaves. And even though they're maybe not going to fruit in winter, the broccolis, This is quite useful. Tony built me this so that it can have the frost protection as well if there is something that doesn't like the frost. I mean, kale is fine in winter. Just stand that one up. So, but you can eat these leaves throughout the whole winter, and they go this real dark green. I mean, you can see as I'm touching it, it's going darker and darker. When you can use these, they're beautiful tasting, and look at all the new leaves that are coming from it. So I'll just leave the broccolis through winter, and we can use them as, you know, like we do spinach, or but they're incredible. What was your question again?
It was about companion plants.
Yeah.
You know, like, are you thinking about it? You know, like, so from experience, you know this goes with that. You know, is it more of an experience that's taught you that?
Yeah.
You know, just over time.
It's living and learning, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I've never had anything on such a grand scale before.
No.
You know, and everywhere that you see plastic is what I'm trying to get rid of.
Right.
And sometimes I don't have enough cardboard, and I call cardboard real estate, really. Because it's the be all and end all to the start of it. This is really important here, this wood chip in the plants, because this is where fungi does start as well. So the fungi, the mushrooms, love the pathways where they can kind of root, and you will see mushrooms on the side sometimes. I can't see any mushrooms here actually today, but there's normally quite a lot of mushrooms in this. In fact, when I put extra compost on the other day, I buried all the mushrooms, and the next day there was a mushroom that big. You know, so it comes up very quickly. So yeah, so that's no dig here, 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 and then here, with the watering system on top. And then there's a dug bed, which is that good example of all the weeds. But yeah.
So when you do a dug bed, what are you doing wrong? Why is that wrong to do it that way?
Because it's literally the finite structure that it has underneath is, you know, there's equilibrium. It's exactly the same as our bodies. You know, if you have your appendix out, and when they cut into your body, it's that healing process. So there's a chap called Charles Dowding. He's I suppose the person that I learnt a lot from in terms of dug beds and no dig beds, and he's done it for years on end, and he shows examples of where he plants exactly the same things into a dug bed and a no dig bed, and then when he harvests at the same time, and then he weighs out the difference, and there's sometimes there's a third more in a no dig bed, because it takes about 3 weeks for the soil to repair itself to then nurture what's in it. So yes, it will have and potentially have, you know, exactly the same amount of produce, but it will just take longer. Yeah. And you know, so then you either plant straight away into a dug bed, or you have to wait. Whereas a no dig bed, you plant straight into it, and all the worms do the work for you. You know, and you let nature take its course.
I suppose, are you giving back more as well because you put in the manure on?
Yeah.
Whereas with the dug bed, you're just digging it.
Yeah.
You're not giving it anything, maybe. You know,
Exactly.
But,
Well, no, you're completely right, and it's the no dig is really good for every single soil type. You know, clay especially, because you're letting the worms do all that work for you, and so you create an environment that is then easy to work with. Because you know, when you've got really thick clay, you know, trying to plant into clay is quite difficult. Although it has its uses, you can make bricks, you can, you know, you can make a pizza oven, you can, you know, do all these magical things with
you
clay.
can't eat them, though, can you?
Clay burgers again.
It may take you a while to eat the brick. Yeah, exactly.
So Rachel, you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about, you know, when you sort of do your beds in horticulture,
Mhm.
what do you call it?
Like a rotation.
Rotation. You don't have to do that then with this method. You just plant anything where you want to.
Yeah, rotation is another myth. Same as watering midday, you know, in the hot sun of the afternoon. It's rubbish. You just water it when you need it, you know. And you don't plant potatoes here one year and then leeks the next year. And
Yeah,
but
that's
you
what I mean.
Yeah,
don't
you
do
could
that.
no, you keep planting. You can keep planting the same thing unless you get one specific type of fungi, which it may affect the crop next year. In which case, you can do there are the plants like nitrogen-rich plants. So landcress is a good example. It's used as a green manure. So you would grow the cress, and before it flowers, you'd harvest it, and then that gives the soil a lot more nitrogen. And there's nitrogen fixing trees. So in places maybe where we've got, chemicals and things that we need to sort out, you'd use fungi first. You water it through, so you dilute it. It's not great to have Monsanto all over the place, but we need to work with it, and we create the mushroom environment, the fungi that will then start creating that goodness, and then you can plant things that are rich in nitrogen to then start fixing the earth again.
All the answers are there, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you have to rediscover them.
Yeah.
As opposed to go to like a laboratory and like, okay, what's the solution? Well, it's there. You just need to observe it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the observing, giving
Yeah,
energy.
yeah.
It's all here right in front of us. We just it's opening the eyes and just seeing it all, I guess.
And what will you do like next year with this? Would you put more manure on?
No, you
Once
wouldn't.
you've
You
done
don't
it
need to put
once?
any more manure. You just put a tiny bit of, maybe that much more compost
Right.
on the top, and that's all you need. And we're creating our own compost now. And when you heat up compost, and we'll go down to the compost bays, when you heat the compost to approximately 50 degrees C, excuse me, it kills all the seeds inside it. So you don't need to worry about, weeding things. It's got seeds, it's got all the other things inside. Now when I harvest things, I can twist it and I can keep the roots in the soil. And some will regrow, some won't. So for example, when you're harvesting a cabbage, they've got very long, thick stems. So you can cut it off and create a cross inside it, and then the new leaves start sprouting from that, and a new cabbage comes. From one tiny seed you can get so much. And that, I suppose that is the magic of it all. Something so small.